Hey everybody, I am Tommy and you are on the lifeboat. And I'll tell you what, people, we have got a whole heck of a lot of stuff to get through. Kevin Hawthorne, Lakeland, Florida. Good to see you. Lacey Silver, how are you? Rona Cooley, I'm glad that you're here. There is a lot to go through, people. We're going to do a bit of an abbreviated roll call because this is going to get really kind of ugly quick. And there's a lot to keep up with on this case. If you've been following the Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds thing, or if you've heard me talk about it, this is going to get so twisted and disgusting. You're going to be so disgusted with Hollywood by the time I'm done with this, you're going to want to vomit. This is not a story about Blake Lively, and it's not a story about Jason Baldoni. That's a great concept. And the fact that there was a hostile and work environment at a film, that's just not really what this is about. This is a war, and it's a war between PR firms. The hidden story behind this is that there are 3 different PR firms out there that all are paid to trash people and to destroy reputations. You can say whatever you want. People go, well, you call a crisis PR firm and to do damage control. There are crisis PR firms, and there's one that's named in this lawsuit. It's actually a woman named Melissa Nathan, who is part of the agency group, who was hired to come in and try to fix the problems that are happening to the reputations of all of these people. Problem is, there are a lot of other agencies that are doing other stuff. There's a woman named Stephanie Jones, and we're going to concentrate on Stephanie Jones, right? Stephanie Jones was hired originally. She was working for Baldoni, and she has an assistant by the name of Jennifer Abel back when this started. And all of this, people, blew up. Thank you, Susan. All of this blew up because these spoiled lowlives in Hollywood can't stand having their feelings hurt. I'm not joking. This is a phenomenon that I don't know what you want to call it. You can give it whatever name you want. Hollyweird syndrome, God complexes. But these people believe that they're way more important than everyone else on planet Earth. This is a real thing. And they hire these firms who have deals with companies like with reporters at Page 6, the New York Times, or they've got someone at the Daily News. They got someone out in LA, and they have people that they can call and say, hey, I'm trying to help out a story. I can throw you a bone here. And they don't have to come up with the content. They basically get something handed to you. No one's doing this for me. I got nobody handing me content to go live with. But that's what these PR firms do, right? We're not all stupid enough to believe that the news that we see is real. Did you happen to see Ryan Reynolds out in public signing autographs? It was a really beautiful thing, man. He stopped and he was talking to all of his fans. It's a funny clip because there must be 60 or 70 people in that clip, and every one of them is holding something for him to sign. And they put it on cardboard or a wooden back because you can't hand somebody a piece of paper and say, sign this, right? You got to have a little something. And they take a little bit of that blue tape that Johnny put on the floor yesterday and you could see our cat climb into. They took that masking tape, painter's blue masking tape, to hold the posters onto the pieces of cardboard. What do you think the odds are that every single person asking for an autograph decided to use blue masking tape to affix their autograph material to pieces of cardboard? Everything is identical. And fans picked up on it instantly, right? The sleuths on the internet were like, whoa, what's up with all the blue tape? That seems a little bit odd. And then a guy popped up on TikTok who has claimed that, he was actually hired to draft all of those out. In fact, he said, I'm a good employee, right? So when the boss said, I need some of these drawn out for my kid, she's doing something for school, he starts to make it. He's a good kid. They asked him to make 10 of them. He showed up and said, hey, I can hook your kid up, man. There's no reason to make all of these the same. Or they wanted 25 of the same. He said, I could do 10 and 10 and 5 or whatever. And the response was, my kid's stupid. They're not going to know one way or the other. Just do it. Does that sound like a parent? Because I don't think those things were made for kids. I think they ended up at an autograph signing party. But this is all going on. We have Leslie Sloan, Leslie Sloan is another one of these people whose job it is to go out and make sure people don't look bad. She's from Vision PR. Well, Jones' work, the person that was covering this in the beginning, has a really odd tie. Do you remember everybody talking about the big famous group of people that represented Baldoni? It's the William Morris Agency. If you know anything about Hollywood, right? Agents represent actors. They represent football players. They represent hockey players, tennis players. If you need to get, you see somebody holding up a Coca-Cola, or they're drinking Gatorade. They don't call up and say, hey, I'm a professional. Why don't you let me do some Gatorade for you? The agents go out and get all of those deals, and the PR people make sure that the deals are put together and all that. Well, William Morris is the biggest. There's nobody bigger in the world. They famously dropped Justin Baldoni. Why? Well, because he's a sexual predator. We know that Ryan Reynolds was walking around talking to people at this PR firm, at this agency, rather, the William Morris Agency, and telling people, hey, man, this Baldoni's no good, right? This guy's a sexual predator. This is what's been alleged, is that he was pushing this. And everybody went, oh, I don't know, man. That's kind of a stretch, right? How bad you got to hate somebody to try to go get them fired in Hollywood from the biggest agency because the guy's beefing with your wife? This doesn't make sense. Stephanie Jones is married to a guy by the name of Jason Holt. Now, who is Jason? He runs the William Morris Agency. Do you hear that? He runs the William Morris Agency. Now, I don't know about you guys, right? I have a significant other. She's a blonde girl. She has her own show. It's called Relatable Reese. You guys have probably seen it. In fact, she's going live right after I am. So I hope that when this is done, you're all going to head over there to Relatable Reese. If you got a wrench, somebody throw up a link so that they can find my fiance's channel. You know what I just did? I just colluded so that my wife, or my soon-to-be wife, or whatever, is going to get the same kind of action from all of you. Well, it's a stretch to believe that people who are in love with one another don't talk about their line of work. Do you think she went home and said to her husband, I want Baldoni fired? The smell test. Remember that? The smell test. You think that these two might have colluded with one another? You think they might have talked about this? Well, look, here's what happens. So this Jennifer Abel, who works for Jones at Jones Works PR, decides she doesn't want to be there anymore. Do you know why she doesn't want to be there anymore? Because she sees the feces hitting the fan. All of this stuff that came out because somebody got a hold of a phone, and they took messages from that phone, and then they pieced the messages together. This is happening to me all the time, right? I don't text anybody anymore. If you get text from me, you know I trust you, because I don't text anybody anymore. Because people will take your text and they'll cherry pick things that you said, or they'll get you so riled up you want to kill somebody, and you leave a message and go, hey, you idiot, I'm not putting up with this anymore. They'll release that and go, Tommy is a lunatic. It's crazy when people, and what are we? I got a couple hundred people watching me. This dude's got 45 million people on Instagram are following Blake Lively, an Instagram account that was recently hacked because she isn't intelligent enough to realize that if you're a public figure, you can't say, tag me in something, right? Rich and famous people who have 45 million subs or followers can't say, tag me in something. It enables losers and regular street folk who aren't royalty to put anything they want and attach it, and it's going to end up on your Instagram. So they decided it would be funny if they started bombarding her with porn. Now, maybe everybody spontaneously decided to start going after her with porn. I don't know. But it seems to me that we've got three companies out there that are waging war with one another. And when this woman decides that she doesn't want to be a part of this, because let's be honest, she's pretty damn intelligent. She's sitting there watching this blow up, and she likes the people involved. She doesn't want to be involved with this. So she says, I'm going to give my notice. I don't want to work for you, Stephanie, anymore. Stephanie Jones, by the way, is famous for being the chick from the movie The Devil Wears Prada. She's the same kind of person. She has been quoted in the press. She's been quoted, right, as saying some really crazy things. One of the things she's fond of saying is she survives on Adderall and coffee, which is just a good look, isn't it? I survive on Adderall and coffee. Well, that makes you happy. So when she says, I'm out of here, she says, it's no hard feelings. I just don't want to be a part of all of this crap. You can't step on people's emotions like that in Hollywood because they're godlike, because they don't allow people to dissent. So she says, this was on July the 10th, by the way. And she says, I'm going to be leaving. And she gives until August the 21st, which is pretty damn kind if you think about it. That's not 2 weeks notice, right? Right before the time comes for her to actually leave, she's in her office doing her thing, and a couple of goons show up, right? These are guards. These are big security dudes. And all of a sudden, she finds herself in an office. And 2 days before her last day, Abel pulls up to the Jones work office in Beverly Hills. And this is right from the case, by the way. This is August 21st. There she is confronted by physically opposing security guard, a lawyer sitting at a conference table, covered in documents, an IT professional, and Jones's chief of staff, who had flown in unannounced from New York. Apart from Jones' chief of staff, Abel had never seen any of them before. After being ushered into the conference room, Abel sees that the security guard is posted just outside its door, blocking the exit. This is normal stuff, right? This happens in the real world. In a menacing and cold tone, the attorney points to the documents and tells Abel to review and sign them. The attorney claims that Jones Works believes she had proprietary information on her personal laptop, and will likely have grounds to sue if Abel does not allow them access. These people, like, you ever met somebody and you get into an argument and you say, you screwed up on this and that. What's really going on? I just told you what's really going on. No, that can't be it. There's more than that. There's something else going on that you're not telling me, because the answer can't be, I don't like you. The answer can't be, you're a bad person. There's got to be people in the background, right, that are setting all this up. So this paranoia goes off. Continues. Completely caught off guard by this hostile and intimidating display, Abel falls into a state of shock. She has never experienced anything like this and doesn't know what to do. Fearful that she will burst into tears and humiliate herself, which she knew was what Jones wants, Abel disassociates. Knowing she has not done anything wrong and desperate to get out of there, Abel signs the documents without digesting their contents. Afterwards, the lawyer demands that Abel hand over her personal laptop. Abel complies, and the IT professional conducts a search and turns up nothing. There's a shocker. She didn't know this was coming, right? This is completely out of left field, but she's got nothing on that laptop that's a shocker. Nothing there. Well, but you couldn't just leave my firm. What, you're quitting what? Because I'm a dirtbag? Because I live on caffeine and Adderall and I'm hard to do business with? That can't be it. Something's going on. You're going to turn on me. The paranoia in Hollywood among all of these rich weirdos is one of the most bizarre things to watch. It literally is bizarre. Afterwards, the lawyer demands Abel. She hands over the laptop. She does, and there's nothing. The attorney then instructs Abel to hand over her phone. After which security escort her out of the building. Still utterly shell-shocked and desperate to get out of there, Abel agrees to hand over her phone so long as they will confirm that Jones Works will immediately release her personal cell phone number, allowing Jones Works to take possession of the physical device without gaining unrestricted access to its contents. It will also enable Abel to get a new phone and move on with her life without undue disruption. Abel pleads with Jones to release her number in a text the following day. Can you imagine? I've had this number since I was a kid. They're going, you're not leaving with your phone. What the deuce is actually going on? Thank you so much, Jane Aldrich. That's 5 people turning green. And everybody looks better in green. And you know that. Tiffany, it was good to see you. Jane Aldrich, thank you so much. True to It Connections, I'm glad you're here. Christine Nicole, Bailey's here. There's Calhoun's Corner. That's my boy. Roberta, good to see you. So, where does this end up? Because now you've got these, this woman leaves the wife of one of the people who's running the William Morris Agency. Magically, Baldoni gets dropped from the William Morris Agency, which I'm sure is a coincidence. It has nothing to do with any of this, right? So now you've got Jennifer Abel, who used to work for the PR firm. She leaves, right? Well, Baldoni is freaked out. He's been working with this agency a long time. He would like this to be a situation where he could continue to work with that agency. This is such a cluster. It really is, folks. You can, if you do this much research, you can look at every article that comes out and say, That one came from Jones because they release to all the same companies. Do me a favor, and I swear to you on all that's holy, I have not looked this up. I swear to you. But when we leave today, right, when you guys are done watching me, because I don't want anybody leaving for any reason. But when we're done here today, take a look over at TMZ. Because one of these agencies seems to get along real well with TMZ. And it looks as if, that's all I'm saying, it looks as if that these people, the way, I mean, how do you become a PR specialist? Have you ever considered any of these crazy things? Like the person that goes up and does this for a living. How do you get a job where you say, don't worry about it? You've been called what? They said you did something with a 16-year. I got this. Don't worry about this. We're your people. Come in here and we'll fix it. How do you get that gig? Honestly, does this make sense to anyone? How do you get a business like that off the ground? What do? You say, I'm real good at saying stuff. No, that's not how that works. The way it works is you spend an awful lot of your time, right? You spend an awful lot of your time meeting people at TMZ, meeting people at Page Six. And if you're smart, maybe you buy a couple of Rolexes, right? If not, you certainly take them out to lunch. You send the whole crew, pizza. You do things so that you get in with the gossip columnists around the country. And their job, like my job, is to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and start going through everything to try to find the story to talk about. Something that's going to keep people entertained. Well, how easy is it if you don't have to do that? What if you're sitting around working, you're looking up the latest on Diddy, and you get a phone call and they say, hey, Harry, do me a favor. I want you to run with this story. And they send it over with a gift wrap bow on it. Hollywood has been lying to every one of us our entire lives. The abuse that's been going on at the hands of the people in this industry. If this isn't really jumping off the page at you, then you're a bit slow. I'm not being disrespectful. That's my fiance, Relatable Reese. She has a show coming up after this one. I want to make sure all of you get over there. And as I was saying before she got here, kid, I was talking about you. Reese and I collude, right? We're a couple. If I'm getting ready to go live, I'll say to her, hey, when are you going live? And, we try to time it so that we're not on top of one another while live. Giggity. But you understand what I'm saying? So you want me to believe that the woman that runs, right, this power broker from Jones PR, Stephanie Jones, who's probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, of this kind of human on earth. She's also with the dude who runs the William Morris agency. What are the odds that Baldoni getting fired by the William Morris agency didn't have something to do with Stephanie Jones, who happens to be working for Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively? I don't know. Like in law, this would be a conflict of interest to the point where you'd be going, what? Are you kidding? This is a campaign to destroy a man, and it's working, by the way. He's almost broke. That's what they're saying. That all of these lawsuits and all of these things are destroying Baldoni. And I want to tell you something. The difference between me and that cat is that I went to prison. I had a drug problem. Look at this guy's life, and he and I live a real similar existence, man. Like his thoughts, his theories. He's a big yoga dude. He's super into to being healthy, and he's super into connection. He's super into a lot of things that you would just love. And I made a video about this dude where I came out and said, looks like we got one more scumbag in Hollywood. I didn't word it like that, but I came out and I said, Blake Lively has accused this man of this, and I'm going to believe Blake Lively until I have a reason not to. Well, I don't believe anything that Blake Lively says. If that woman said that today was Tuesday, I'm going to consult my wristwatch. I promise. And as sad as this is, I don't think it's her fault. I think that she got used in this. I think that Ryan Reynolds leaked what he wanted so that they could take those text messages and run with it. Now, how do you get that job again? You got a lot of friends who run newspapers and gossip columnists and people that do, TMZ and places like that you can leak these stories out to. You have to sort of foster all of those relationships. And that's what this woman is doing. And when they get a story, they run with it. They call all of these people. Well, guess what? The story of the Blake Lively lawsuit that kind of got broken when all of this came out, there are internet sleuths out there, people like me, except more than likely most of them are housewives, because the best internet sleuths are housewives. I'm not being funny in any way. They really do bring people down. But they've been digging, and it looks like, and one of these internet sleuths, and I could not find the woman's name. I found other people that referenced what she did. If I could find her name, I'd have given her credit. But he has basically called out the paper to say this was a setup. You knew about this lawsuit before it was filed. And she started putting dates out. Whenever you hear 50 allegations and somebody comes out and says, allegation number 40 is patently absurd, and I can tell you why, I'm real suspicious that the other 49 are probably true. And they cherry picked their response, and they said they never handed over, they did not have possession of that indictment, something along those lines. They didn't see a copy. They had no possession of anything like that before it was, well, maybe that's really not what they were saying. What they were saying is that there was collusion, that the two of you were talking about this, that somebody from this camp leaked things to you before that broke, so you were ready to roll. When this starts to get peeled apart, oh, I love that. Thank you, Jacqueline. What a kind thing to say. Tommy, I'm on all caps just to let you know that the love for your girl in chat, the cutest thing I've seen in a long time. Well, that's a really kind thing to say. I appreciate the hell out of that. I really do. I'm sure that Reese does. I'm dealing with this every day, folks, right? I'm a content creator, which basically makes me the least famous person on earth, right? If you have a channel like this on YouTube, there are people who know who you are. You're not famous by a damn stretch, but there are people who know who you are, right? You're like a class D celebrity or something. But I know what it's like to have people target you. My fiance knows what it's like to have people target you. And, at first you sit down and you go, why do these people freaking hate me so much? You know what I mean? The channels aren't monetized. They go 4 years of making hate content. What could to do it for free? Because I work my butt off, right, for the money that I make on YouTube. I can't imagine someone spending all that time doing it for free. Are they? Are they doing it for free? Stick with me on this. If you get to be good as a PR person by having a lot of folks in your pocket at page 6, right? At the gossip columnist for the gossip page for the New York Times, page 6, or the LA's gossip column, or Chicago Tribune's gossip column, or the Atlanta, whatever, any of these papers, Houston Chronicle, Houston Post. Ideally, you should know a bunch of them, right? Well, guess what? There aren't that many people anymore that are really getting their news above that board, right? Celestial news, mainstream, lamestream, whatever you want to call it. ABC, NBC, CBS, right? All of those things, newspapers, people don't read them anymore. Now, granted, I look at page 6 every single day online, and I had to pay for that membership to do it. But I look at that every day because this is the kind of stuff that I'm into. This is what I chase down. We had someone come out, an idiot, who made a video about us, and I don't watch anything anyone makes about me ever, but it was reported back. This person cops to the fact that someone who's a Royal Order of Jester gave them money. Well, it makes a lot more sense when people create content for a little bit of cash. I almost respect that a little bit more because the rest of it would just be insanity. But it works. I lost 400 or 500 subscribers. So did my fiance. By the way, hit subscribe if you haven't. That's what tells a YouTube creator that you like what they do. Hit that subscribe button, right? Put the thumbs up. Costs you nothing. It's kind of how we get paid, right? So I really appreciate it if you do that. And if you got a wrench, put the links up to everybody else that's fighting the good fight. You know the forum I'm talking about. And the reason I bring that up, because I don't talk about trolls. I bring that up. You'll never hear me say their names, anything like that. It's because I'm trying in my head to imagine being Justin Baldoni. By all accounts, this dude is one of the coolest human beings on earth. He's got a podcast that brings attention to women's issues. A dude doing a show where he brings attention to women's issues, things like body issue or whatever. Does that sound familiar? For real. Ever seen me do a show on that? I'm telling you, Baldoni and I would be friends if the two of us lived in the same town. This is a good guy. He has come out in statements and said, I make tons of mistakes. My wife would be the first person to tell you that. That's a quote. He said, but I am fast to admit it. And I'm fast to say I'm sorry. When you look at the correspondence back and forth between Baldoni and these two Satan creatures that are on my thumbnail, what you see is a man trying to manipulate another man with the use of fame, with the use of power. It's everything we're talking about in 2025. Did Ryan Reynolds, do any Diddy stuff? Yeah, tons of it. He just wasn't essaying anybody. He wasn't R-wording people. To the best of our knowledge, those things haven't been, there's no accusations of that. But that power crap that these people do behind the scenes where they go, okay, let's see. Jones Work PR, okay, they're somebody we got to go and work with. The Vision PR people, not so good. We'll hire the agent. They're hiring people to trash other people. Once again, I know what that feels like. I don't know what it feels like on the level that Baldoni is feeling it. Wayfarer Studios is in trouble. They took a hit. You can't jam something back in the bottle. I will have people that will pop up every couple of years and they'll go, yeah, I used to watch your channel until I watched you snort blow on one of your shows. It didn't happen. But the person that saw a troll talk about that, or saw a cherry-picked clip where I came up after hitting the vape, that stuff doesn't go away. The people that saw it for the rest of their life. Now, did they see the explanations? Did they see everything else? No. It's like when they run a front page newspaper article and they call you a scumbag. And then they got to go back and say, ooh, I might have made a mistake. They print the retraction on page 32. And they know this. The PR firms know that if you throw enough feces, some of it is going to stink the people up. So it is our responsibility, for real, as discerning human beings, it is our responsibility. Thank you, Bailey. Turning people green. Another 5 new members at the Lifeboat. I love that, man. I love that. Ryan Reynolds trolling Baldoni in Deadpool is actually gross now that I know what he was doing. We'll be playing that tomorrow on my morning show with Casper. We're going to be going over all of those clips. He had a dog that he called Dogpool. It's a little dog, but it's a female dog. You know what a female dog is called? It's called a bitch. Just how it is, right? The female dog is referred to as a bitch. And he's doing this for a reason. And they're mocking Baldoni. And if you don't believe it, he even makes reference to the name of the guy's podcast while he's filming this. Do you realize the low budgetness of this? When a film is done, right? All of the stars get together and you do this hellacious tour where you promote the film. You've all seen somebody sitting down with True Hollywood or whatever, and they say, tell us about the film. And they go, well, you know what? It's set in 1920s Berlin. And they start that and they ask them questions. What was it like working with? Okay. I don't know if you know how those work, but it's called Media Day. And on Media Day, when you go in there to do those interviews, there's 150, right? Little press crews waiting to interview you. They've got their backdrop and you just sit in a chair all damn day and answer the same questions asked by 100 different people, right? It's a frustrating process. When they showed up to do that, Ryan Reynolds showed up. Keep in mind, this is a film about domestic violence. This is a very serious subject matter. But when they're doing this, Ryan Reynolds shows up and says, I assume I got an idea, because this was not Baldoni's idea. You can see it from watching it. But what he did was he had his mother there, and his mother is interviewing Baldoni. And she says, it's not often that the mother-in-law of the star gets an opportunity to talk to somebody who's trying to steal my son's wife. So she says, I'm not going to read this. Ryan Reynolds pops up and goes, hold on, I'll read it. Ryan would like a dad. He'd like to be able to have somebody to play ball with, somebody to hang out. And Hugh Jackman's getting kind of old. So blink once if you want to do this. Blink once for yes, or blink once for, and he goes like this with the card. He goes, he blinked, and he walks off. The mother then says, I will rock your effing world. Right? Like she wants to be with him sexually. And okay, it's a joke. It's probably not a funny one on the set of a serious film, right? To promote a serious film about domestic violence, maybe this isn't the place for this comedy sketch. But if you're trying to make a point to Baldoni, it is. And then who takes the chair? But a co-star from Wolverine, his best friend, Hugh Jackman, then sits in the chair and says, it's not often that the best friend's co-star gets a chance to talk to the person. Why are you trying to steal my best friend's girl? And the look on his face, if this was all set up and they're happy to do it, then he's the greatest actor on earth. But when you watch the clip, he even says, his answer was, yeah, I really don't know what the hell is going on here. This theme gets carried over where they bust on him in the movie Wolverine, and then they bust on him again in the movie Deadpool. They bust on him in the credits rolling up. Every time they can take a stab at this guy. Every time they can take a stab at this guy. And everyone does it, right? People who do this kind of stuff, if you have an opportunity, look, we got trolls who I will embed insults into my show because I know they never miss one, right? But what they're doing, this is at a level that can't be understood. But we're supposed to believe this BS story that she comes out with, that this man created a hostile work environment. Do you know he used the word sexy? His defense was, you used the word sexy. By the way, that's proven. She was the first one to use it, and she used it describing the character. The same way he used it back to her. You go, Tommy, how do you know that? You weren't there. Somebody, either at Wayfair or somebody at Sony Pictures, somebody somewhere said to the cast, keep the cameras rolling. I'm not kidding. So when they hit cut, those cameras are rolling. They decided to film everything. So the alleged harassment is on film. Did you catch that? I'm going to say that one more time. The harassment that allegedly took place is on film. And this is why we're seeing pictures of Ryan Reynolds doing a little cutesy with his with the old lady and posting it, or pictures of him out there being the nicest guy in the world signing autographs. And I would imagine that the PR firm is doing everything they can to scrub the internet of all of the people that have been honest about him in the past. Yeah. Martha Stewart was on a show, and the clip doesn't give credit to who the show was from. But there's a guy interviewing her, and it's a very strange thing. They look like they're on a little platform halfway up a wall. But he asked her a question about the funniest and the kindest people in Hollywood. And she says, I bet Ryan Reynolds is on there. He shouldn't be. He's not funny. He's not a funny guy. And the guy goes, oh, the bummer. You're kidding, man. Like, I'm disappointed because he's just so funny, right? He's just so funny. And she says back to him, no, he's not funny, Martha says. And then she says, you know what? I'm going to get in trouble for this. He's my neighbor. Martha Stewart knew what was up. That's right. She said, I'm going to get in trouble because we're neighbors. She would know. Right? You know your neighbors, don't you? I had a neighbor across the street. For those who have been on the boat for a really long time, when I lived in Nevada, my neighbor across the street, we called Gladys Kravitz. Man, I'd come home, I'd be in the driveway, and she'd be like, the FedEx truck came by at 12:24, left a package on your door, and a gray truck stopped by. They knocked, no one was home, and they left. Like anything that was going on, but we knew everything there was to know about that woman. Like, you know who your neighbors are. You know if they're funny. You know if they're. I had another neighbor that used to ask me to help her fix things in her house, and I was like a handyman on staff. I can't tell you how many times I fixed things for this woman. And like a sink that exploded, I'm in there getting wet. And if you ask me, you know, what's she like? Well, she likes to get things done without having to pay for them. Nice enough woman, but very kind of pushy when she wants something. You know your neighbors. Martha said, not so funny. Not really funny. Yesterday, we read a bit of one of his text messages that he sent to Baldoni. Now, keep in mind, Baldoni's the creep, according to these people. But he said, if you're trying to get this movie I'm paraphrasing, you're trying to get this movie to move along faster, which, by the way, Baldoni didn't want the movie to move along any faster. He was happy with the schedule. Ryan Reynolds wasn't happy with the schedule. And he says to him, why? Because I'm a beta male. That's why. Because I can't be away from my girl. Well, then don't friggin' do this for a living. But he says, we're really uncomfortable when we're apart. And I'm, they had already rented everything for my action movie. So we can't really play with that timetable. But here's what you do. Get the line producer, right? And I would attach myself to their, or tattoo myself is the term he used, to their perineum, the taint. Does that sound creepy to you? And then in the same text, he explains, I chose that properly because it is one of the most sensitive areas on the body and hurts the most, if there's trauma to it. What? I think, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this dude is always in character. I think he's always in character. And that Deadpool smartass that he plays, go back and look at the earliest Ryan Reynolds interviews you can possibly look up, and he sounds just like Deadpool. He's typecast because that's the character that he plays when the world's looking. I've seen him in interviews talk about his father, and his father was a screamer, apparently. His father raged, and he became that. If you ever study any psychology at all, there are different dynamics within families. And there's the kid whose job it is to try to stop that. And they become the clown, or they become, they take on a role. He began to play a role to try to keep his dad from screaming. Now we know he screamed his ass off at Justin Baldoni. Why? Because Justin Baldoni had the huevos. He had the onions to ask how much Blake Lively weighed. Now, I got news for you. If I walk up to you, you're a lady, and I go, hey, Christine, how much do you weigh? I'm a loser, right? I'm a loser. That you don't ask anybody that question. It's just bad form. Now, if later in the afternoon today, I've been told I have to pick up Christine, carry her 14 feet, and set her down in the back of a truck. If I were to say to her, hey, I've had multiple back surgeries, right? I was a former skier. I've done a lot of damage. How much do you weigh? That's different. Do you understand the context of how that's a very different thing? Especially if, say, a week or two earlier, when she said, hey, can we shoot this? Blake Lively texts and says, can we shoot the sex scene between us at the end of the shoot? Just move with the scheduling so that I have more time to drop more weight. Now, he's been accused of fat shaming her. It's a big part of this lawsuit. So you would assume his response would have been like, yeah, porker. Yeah, we can move it around. And you better get down to at least 15 because the shadow of your butt weighs 75 pounds. Or anything even remotely untoward. Like saying, yeah, maybe that would be better because you're looking a little thick. Not cool. Do you know what his response was? That's the last thing in the world I want you worried about. Don't be silly. You already look amazing. You're going to look amazing. You have nothing to worry about. Does that sound like a hostile work environment to you? Does it? Does it sound like a hostile work environment? Let me explain something else that happens on movies. People wear clothing in movies. People wear wristwatches in movies, right? They wear jewelry in movies. The wristwatches, the jewelry, things like that are rented very often from people like me. In fact, I have rented and sold watches to a production company in LA on 3 different films now. This is something that's done all the time. But the clothing, what usually happens is, let's say you're playing, you have the lead in Catcher in the Rye, and you're playing Holden Caulfield. They're going to go out and shop for a wardrobe that a high schooler around 17 years old would have been wearing in 1967 or whatever it was. Now, you're not going to use all those clothes. The vast majority are going to be returned because the person who does costuming is going to look through, watch you try on all of them and go, that's perfect. And then they'll alter them, they'll rip them, they'll do whatever. Yeah, makes sense? Okay. So you'll normally have a budget of a couple of $100,000 for wardrobing, and you're going to get a bunch of it back. You're not really spending all of it. So you spend $200,000 on wardrobe, you get back 130, and your cost ends up being $70K. On this film, Blake Lively got involved in the purchasing, apparently, of the wardrobe. This is what is alleged. And the budget for the wardrobe got up over $500,000. Now, don't trip, right? It's all going to get returned. Well, 185 or so got returned. And by all accounts, she looked stupid. They said she looked like Lizzie McGuire. That was a quote. And by the way, it wasn't the studio that shot it down. they have ways of showing massive amounts of people the wardrobes and things like that. They don't go on one person's decision. They actually do things like test groups who all thought, yeah, this is stupid. Now, you know what Lizzie McGuire looks like. You know the Lizzie McGuire movie, right? Okay. Now picture Lizzie McGuire in a movie about domestic violence. Does that sound right in your dome? Because it doesn't sound right to me. It's pretty obvious stuff. But what we get is a message that's going through this, a thread, a common thread. And you know what the common thread is? Ryan tells his wife she can rewrite the script. She's good at it. In fact, he says in the text, the rewrites are really fantastic. And Taylor Swift thought so too. He mentioned Taylor and another star, and then that all got redacted. So we're not supposed to know that it's Taylor, but the name keeps coming up. By the way, Taylor Swift is distancing herself from Blake Lively amidst the drama from the lawsuit. Guess where that popped up? Page 6. Yeah, page 6, which means that we know where the leak or where that story came from. We know that if it's page 6, Miss Jones probably called up her people there and said, hey, Taylor's catching a lot of crap right now, and Taylor doesn't need this. So for the time being, she's gonna back away a little bit. They're not going to be besties for a little while in the press. Can you imagine all this crap taking place in board meetings, right? Entire PR rooms sitting there going, Taylor's in trouble. They're talking about Taylor like she's involved in this. What are we going to do? The Swifties are going to die. Holy crap, people. Who cares, Tommy? Who cares? It's a lawsuit among rich people. No. Once again, it's an incredibly rich, powerful person that thinks they can do whatever they want, including cherry picking messages. If I go through your text messages, and I don't have to take anything in order, you got any idea what I could do with your text messages? Honest to God. Start reading your text messages sometime and go, what question could I ask to get that thing as an answer and make me look really bad? Because that's basically what's been alleged, is that they were able to cherry pick through this thing. And then, you know what else you could do? Maybe you could type in a question that just really makes the person look like. Surely a PR firm wouldn't stoop to something that low, right? A public relations firm. These are the people who coined the phrase, never let there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? I got news for you. Those days are over. Someone said it yesterday. The cell phone destroyed that expression. There's no such thing as bad press. Oh, there is. There are so much bad press that can destroy you. And that's what's happening right now to Ryan Reynolds. But I got a prediction for you. I think we're going to see this rise to criminal levels. I really do. I don't, here's slander, libel, all that. Okay. How about telling someone at William Morris to fire somebody? How about telling someone at William Morris to fire somebody because they are a predator? I think we're starting to look at stuff that rises to a criminal offense. Right? This is fraud, is it not? If you got several people who get together, and I don't know the answer to this, there's a lawyer here, let me know. But what happens if 4 people conspire to destroy a human being? They're not going to kill you. Maybe they'll just convince the world that you've been intimate with children. Or maybe they'll just convince the world that you beat your wife. Or any of these things. You guys familiar with the Duke lacrosse team? Put a 2 in the chat if you know the Duke lacrosse story. In fact, help me out. Write in the chat if you remember what the Duke lacrosse story was. What happened to those boys from the Duke lacrosse team? Because this is the world that we live in, folks. This is what Hollywood does. This was a group of individuals, boys, who were all playing lacrosse. Now, I got news for you. There are black people who are incredible at lacrosse, but it's a pretty white sport from a pretty white part of the country. Like Long Island is kind of the king of lacrosse, but it's a very popular sport on the East Coast. These boys got convicted for hiring a prostitute and then R-wording her, gang R-wording her. Trouble is, it never happened. But it didn't stop the newspapers from crucifying these guys. And to this day, there are people all over the world that don't know that there was a retraction. When I bring this up, if everybody, you'll have people that will write, those were the boys that raped that black girl. But they didn't. You guys remember a security guard by the last name Jewell? The Olympic Park bombing, Richard Jewell? Richard Jewell was a beefy security guard. He was overweight. He didn't look the hero part at all. He was a kind of slovenly overweight security guard who spotted the backpack or the I can't think of what those things are called anymore, but there was a bag that they were carrying, like a gym bag that was filled with the explosive. He spotted it. He told people about it. It ostensibly saved a crap load of lives. Then you know what happens? The press gets a hold of Richard Jewell. And they said, you know what? I think he did it. Kind of funny that he saw it before it went off, didn't it? No, you trained them to look for unattended bags. They ruined that man's life. Destroyed it. Now, it's kind of the nature of the beast. I'm sad to say that's this world that we live in. I'm a part of it. But it's different if they're sitting in a room on the 37th floor of an office building in New York City or LA around a table talking about it, right? Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to say it's a hostile work environment. We're going to trash this guy. We can go through those texts and pick a couple out. It's going to make him look really bad. Guess what? He filmed everything. What a genius. I don't know who was responsible for that, but that's the sky opening up. People, I bring to you the criminal perspective. That's what I do. I bring to you the criminal perspective, and I try to bring to you a little bit of logic, right? So let me tell you the criminal perspective. Old Ryan Reynolds and his wife are going to hear that. I'm sure they already have, but they've heard this leaked that either Sony or somebody at Wayfair or one of the production people had a bad feeling about this. They had a bad feeling about what was going on this set. It looked to them, right, like maybe these guys were trying to take over this guy's film, which is really what happened. So they said, don't hit cut. Just let the film keep rolling. Let's see them talking to each other. Let's see them interacting with each other. Keep it rolling. Oh, man. So as a criminal, you hear that and you go, oh, my God. Like, I mean, this has happened to anybody that's gone to prison. There's that moment where they go, by the way, we got you on film getting into the getaway car. Or it's the smoking gun. This is a smoking gun. The hostile work environment, we don't have to wonder whether or not there was a hostile work environment. We can look at it. They filmed it all. We're going to know if there was a hostile work environment. That's, God, help us. How good is that? Yes. TMZ showed a video with those two dancing in the real dialogue, not the movie dialogue. They showed about that much of it. Imagine how much else there is. Because I'll tell you what, Baldoni, he's ruined. He's ruined. Now, that doesn't mean he can't come back. There's a really good chance he's going to come back. But right now, this man has taken a hit. A lot of the people that saw the first video I did where I said, looks like, this is what the woman is accusing him of, and I sided with her. I didn't trash him. So there wasn't enough out there to do it. But there are people who saw that aren't going to see this. If I screw up, go back and look through my videos. When I screw up, you know what I usually call the next video? Well, I really screwed that one up. Because all you got is credibility. All you got is credibility. And once you lose that credibility, well, I got news for you. Jones Works, Vision PR, and the agency group don't have credibility. How do you feel knowing there are agencies out there that can be paid to destroy a person's life? And let the truth be damned. We don't have to worry about the truth. A lie, well, what do they say? A lie will run all the way around the world before the truth gets their shoes tied. Well, they done screwed this one up, didn't they? I don't see Ryan Reynolds surviving this. You guys might think I'm crazy. I don't see him surviving this. This is not going to be a he said, she said. It's not. There were issues with her signing her contract. And so I never got to sign a really cool contract for a movie. I got to sign a day player's contract for a movie because all I was a day player. But I had a speaking part, I had a dressing room, and they would bring it to you. You sign a new one every morning as a day player. So every time you show up, and there are some days you show up and they can't film because the weather's bad or whatever. They call it pick up and deliver. You get paid anyway. But I would show up in the morning and they would bring in the paperwork and I would sign it. And I remember my father, who was a really smart guy. I signed the paperwork and I handed it to my dad, who was there for filming. And when I came back, he was laughing and talking to somebody. They were at the little where they serve food. You know, they have trucks out there. And my dad had ordered himself. They're open all day. You order anything you want. It's really the best part of the film. But he was over there eating and talking to one of the stuntmen. They were laughing. I walked up. I said, "What's funny?" And he said, "Did you read this contract?" And I said, "No." And he pointed out a part on there. And it said that I was giving up my rights to my image and my sound, my voice, on this film, on this planet or any other, in this universe or any other. I swear to God, this is the truth. In 1989 or whatever, they were already thinking, well, what'll happen in 150 years if people on the moon are showing our films? We don't want to have these actors coming back going, wait. You didn't say anything about the moon. So in my day player's contract, yeah, we were on location. In my day player's contract, it said on this planet or any other, this universe or any other. I would bet by now they've thrown in dimensions. I'm not being funny. I mean, you talk about covering your butt. Crazy stuff, man. But it is alleged that he really made all of the contract stuff a very difficult thing. The general contract to be in the film, as well as the contract regarding intimate scenes. I'll be honest with you. I think she liked the intimate scenes. What do you think of that? And I'm not basing it on watching it. I can't watch it. But the text is back and forth. I'll tell you right now, if it were Reese texting someone the way she was texting Baldoni, I probably would have been upset too. They looked they seemed very friendly, very, very friendly. She said, "I adore you." Reese better not adore anything that isn't furry, right? No bald men can be adored. That should just be my gig. Of course, Ryan Reynolds said the same thing too. "I adore you." This guy's a freak. This is a kind of evil, folks. Again, who cares? I care. I care. This is what money and power does for you in Hollywood. And it's what money and power do for you in this country. Sorry, but that's where we're at. Probably the world. We got Voldemort saying, "I'm not going to court. I don't have to go. Why would I have to go to court?" In this case, Blake Lively's attorneys, by the way, do you know what law firm they hired? They hired a law firm that is famous for representing women in the Me Too movement. But they said concerning not wanting her to have to be deposed by the attorney because he's mean, they literally said in their filing, I don't think it's appropriate. This is, after all, an all-female company. Put it too in the chat if you think that's got nothing to do with anything on planet Earth. What do you care who the employees are? You filed the lawsuit. You have to be deposed. They have to have your story. You thought you could file a lawsuit and not be deposed? Of course you did. Of course you did. Right? Of course you did. You're a Hollywood elitist. You're no different than Jay-Z. You're no different than Diddy. You're not. They had weird sexual proclivities that these people don't. But the mindset that I can do whatever I want, I can crap on whoever I want. I don't have to look waiters in the eye because they're peons. I don't have to do any of the things you normal people do because I'm a god. That's it. I'm not like you. I'm better than that. Hold on. Sorry, people. Every once in a while. So if I get a who cares email from one of you, then you didn't pay a lick of attention. We need to stop this. You ever heard somebody say, I want to speak truth to power? Right? You ever heard that phrase? Power sucks. Power corrupts. And Hollywood power, goes so much farther than corrupting absolutely. We allegedly have a place where if you want to be a star, you might just have to perform fellatio on another man, even if you're straight. Or you might have to be willing to allow someone to insert an egg to see if you're ready to be a rock star. And if not, you're going to have to go out there and do whatever it is you're doing to make sure that you're more open in the back end the next time they try you with the egg. Is that real? I don't know. I don't. It sure as hell has been alleged. Suge Knight alleged that. He talked about the egg test on a phone call that he was doing on his From Prison podcast. That's right. He's got a From Prison podcast. Nice. See, there you go, bare necessities. This is it. This is going to be the decade for the little guy. This is going to be it. We're going to start in 2025 and say, you know what? It's not okay to have companies who destroy other people for a living. Whether that's a reputation, you destroy someone's reputation, go ahead and shoot them. Honestly, you realize the trauma this man's living with? How many trolls do you think are calling him a R-wordist and a freak? And the guy didn't do anything wrong. And you know, I throw the word allegedly. I'm not throwing out the word allegedly. I read the friggin' text messages. You don't have to be Nostradamus. Go read what these people wrote. There was nothing hostile. I take that back. I take that back. There was plenty of hostility. Ryan Reynolds was really hostile to Baldoni, not the other way around. And when the movie premiere was going off, Baldoni and his family were in the basement. They weren't allowed to go upstairs and hang out with Ryan Reynolds, his beautiful but evil wife, and all of their friends, right? Because, you know, if you're promoting a movie, it's real nice if Taylor Swift's at your premiere, huh? That's what these people give a crap about. Power, influence, clicks, views, reputation. They have firms hired to make them look good. And knowing that all of this is going around, how funny is it that there's not a PR agency that has come out and said, I'm not Celebrity B. J-Lo's PR firm, like she doesn't have one of these people hired. How come they haven't come out and said, unequivocally, we deny. Unequivocally, I was not that person. I don't know, man. Beyonce hasn't made that statement either. But I have a feeling one of them probably shouldn't. One of them probably can't make that. Now, let me see something here real quick. All right, folks. I am going to chase this down. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be showing some clips from this on the morning show that I do with Casper over on After the Bars. If you've not gone by and hit subscribe to After the Bars, well, then you're making a huge error. It is a hell of a lot of fun. If you got a wrench, please put up the link to After the Bars so that everyone can find it. Also, if you haven't checked out the Dopamine Kitty, that cat's life-changing, man. I'm not even playing games. I don't know if you've seen my brother and that cat. It is one of the coolest things I have ever seen in my life. Katy Perry is worst of all of them. When's that one coming out? You mean Katy Perry? Certainly not Katy Perry, because Katy Perry is magic. Yeah, these women make decent women look bad. Hollywood makes human beings look bad. You understand? The rest of the world looks to Hollywood for so much. Honestly, we set the tone for so much in the rest of the world, and we ought to be freaking embarrassed, man. We ought to be embarrassed. Our show starts at 9 o'clock in the morning Mountain, 8 o'clock Pacific time. That's the breakfast show over with Casper and I on After the Bars. That's Morning Mayhem. And if you haven't gone by to check it out, you really ought to. But speaking of check it out, all 517 of us are going to go over there and scare the crap out of my fiance because she thinks I'm going really long because I do these 2 and 3 hour shows. Well, she's going live right after me. I am going to head over there right now. I'm going to be in the chat doing my talking, and I really hope that I run into all of you over there. In fact, I hope every one of you says hello to me. You know what happens if all of you go over to Relatable Reese and just say hello to Tommy? The algorithm will bump her numbers up through the roof. That's how this works, folks. You get real talkative in the beginning, you really help our cause. So if you want to help our cause, get busy in the beginning. Start hitting that like button and leaving some text. I will see you on Relatable Reese between now and the next time I see you. Reach out and try to save somebody. Don't leave. because I got a damn good outro. Thank you, Casper. I love you.